Hello, all you fabulous and wonderful people. Welcome to the channel and welcome to today, a different sort of video. So you guys have been asking for me to do a family tree of the Amesworth family. Some of you might have forgotten or got a little confused or whatever. You just want a family tree. Like a lot of you guys have wanted this. So here we are. So I did record this video once before without the camera, and I just felt like it was a little not boring, but a little impersonal, maybe like it needed something. And I have been wanting to use my camera for a while now with my videos. I've just been very, very nervous about it, and I'm a little awkward, so I guess that's why I'm nervous. But if any of you have ever seen my live streams over on Twitch, then you know that I use a cam over there. It's nothing new, but it has been a long, long time since I've live streamed. I think it's been like a couple of months now since I have done a live stream. So this in front of the camera it's like the first time. It's like super, super awkward. This is probably the fourth time that I've tried to record just this introduction. But anyways, we're gonna get through it. Bear with me as I do this. I am very, very new to this whole thing with the family tree. I've never done one before, but when you guys suggested it, I really, really liked the idea of it. Not just for you guys, but for myself, for more of like, you know, memories and stuff like that. I didn't know how I was gonna do this family tree, so I Googled it, and of course, when you Google family tree, a lot of family tree makers come up, and a lot of them are paid, but there are some free ones. But they didn't have the elements that I was looking for. They didn't have the things that I wanted to do with it. So then I thought, does Google have something? I know they have the spreadsheets. I know you can do in Google Docs and all that. And so I went and YouTubed it, and sure enough, there is a Google Drawings, which is what I used for this family tree. So that's what we're gonna do, is we're gonna take a look at what I have made in Google, their drawings. Actually it turned out pretty well. So I'm gonna try and get through this as best as I can. I do tend to kind of go back and forth and talk around in circles, and I'm gonna try my best here, you guys. This is very, very new to me. I don't usually do these sort of videos, so here we go. Okay, so here it is. Let me zoom out so you can see the whole thing. This is how it turned out. Just real simple, real basic, nothing fancy. But you can see the lines and who started it and all that, okay? So this is Google Drawings. If you've never heard of that, it is in Google Drive. It's right under when you go to make a spreadsheet or document, it's under the more options. So here we have John and Anna and all of their kids and the spouses and then their grandkids. So how I did this, I'm gonna zoom in and show you guys. Let's zoom in just a little bit. You'll notice there is their name, the date that they were, well, the year that they were born and the year that they died, and then their age of when they died. Now, how I figured this out, you guys, this took me a minute to figure out. I did this because I was just curious of how old they might have been and how accurate the time passes in this game. So in this challenge, I am following the Cute Coffee Gal rules, and she had suggested that every 2 sim days equals a year. So 1 sim day is equal to 6 months in real time. I'm gonna show you guys how I figured out really quick their ages, because this took me a minute. Okay, so what you're seeing is a screenshot of the calendar. Now, I was smart enough that I had the very first save file of this challenge, so I could go back. Now, everybody was still in the original house, and the kids were like teenagers, but we were still using the 1-week seasons back then. So what I did was I took a screenshot of that calendar And then I went into Photoshop. So then I just put in all the years until 1903 on this. So as you can see, we started here, first day of fall, 1890, and then that was 6 months past 1890. You get the point. You guys understand? And then I did mark down like Mary was born here and Emma was born here. I had to go through every single video and mark these down when they were born and when they died and all of that. But when I did this, I realized that I had switched the decades way early. I ended up switching to the 1900s here on this Wednesday, and we really should have switched it over here. I mean, it's only a couple sim days. It's not that big of a deal, but it still bothered me enough that I did fix it. So I did a screenshot of this for every year. So like this ends in 1903. So then we have here 1904 all the way down to 1917. And I mark when the wars were, when Mary got married to Charles in 1916. I even put the episode that it was from, just for me to refer to, just in case, I don't know, I forgot, whatever. But I did this all the way up into the where we are currently. So here's the current calendar, and it did get a little bit tricky because if you remember, there was a time when we switched to the 1950s, the seasons got weird because when we switched to the 1950s, it wanted us to switch to long lifespan, and I decided that we should make it even more interesting and try the longer seasons. So I went from 7-day seasons to 14, as you are seeing here. 2 weeks of spring, 2 weeks of summer, da 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 da. Well, in doing that, it gave me an extra 4 days somehow. I feel like when I did it that day, it was fine, but when I logged out and then when I came back in to record, I had 4 extra days of fall. If you remember in that video, I did say, hey, they gave us 4 extra days. But it actually, because I was 2 days already, I got it to work out. So I basically looked at those 4 extra days as it was Twilight Zone, and they weren't really there. They didn't really happen. So this is marked all the way down into 1973. So one thing to know, I have gone into the game and I have already changed it when we will be switching the decades. We are going to be switching a couple of days later than what I had originally planned. So that is how I figured out all of their ages. Now, when we come back to here, let's come down to here. I'm going to zoom in so you guys can see this. John was born in 1870. But Jen, the challenge didn't start till 1890. You're right. But he was a young adult. I created both him and Anna in Create-A-Sim, and they were a young adult. So I figured a young adult is 20 to whatever, like 25, 30, I don't know. But I decided that they were probably 20 years of age in 1890. So if they were that age in 1890, then when would they have been born? You just subtract 20 years from 1890, you get 1870. So that's what I went with. And then he died in 1918, and he was 48 years of age. So this actually, if you Google what the life expectancy in 1870 was, for those born in 1870 was, this is actually a lot older. I think it's the 30s. I can't remember offhand, and I might be getting this wrong, but I think it was like 37 or 38 or something. But this came out to be a little bit longer than what they should have. The same with actually Anna. The females in 1870, those born in 1870, was a little bit shorter because I think childbirth had to play in it. I feel like childbirth back then, a lot of times the women would die. So maybe not as much in the 1890s, 1900s. It probably got better. But she actually died in 1928. I do remember Anna being with us a very long time, and she lived to the ripe old age of 58. Here is all their kids. We're going to start down here with Mary, and I'm going to tell you how, I'm going to walk you guys through this and show you how I came up with William being the heir. So in the challenge rules, it says that females cannot be heirs until the 1920s. I know, it's just the rules. And what I have to say, when I first started this challenge, I was all geared to following the rules exactly to the T. Whatever the rules say, I wasn't gonna veer from it. I wasn't gonna, you know, we're just gonna do what it says, or, you know, at least try. When it came time to have babies, I knew I had to have a son to be the heir. So Mary was the firstborn, and obviously that's not gonna work. It was 1890. So we're gonna have to have more. So then Emma came along, and she was born in 1895. So Mary was born in 1892, and then Emma came and she was born in 1895. Again, we're gonna need a kid. We're gonna need a man. So the third baby we had ended up being William, 1890 and 1898. Now, I knew, and I even said in that video, oh, he's gonna be our heir. Well, then I ended up reading the rules later and realized there was gonna be war coming. And what if he died? I didn't have an heir. Now, if you read the rules, you actually could have the husband of the daughter here could be the heir. So we could have had Mary. It could be argued that we could have had Mary because when she married Charles, he would have became the heir or whatever. I really wanted that first heir to be a boy. So that was the reason why I ended up with William. Then after William, we had all boys. We had Frank, and then we had John and Jacob. Frank was in 1902, and then John, it was in 1907, and Jacob, obviously they were twins. So if you look at when they died, though, this is very interesting. They were a day apart. So Jacob actually died before John. I don't know why I had in my head that John was born before Jacob. Could have been the other way around. Some of this, they should have not lived as long, like Frank. Actually, by this time, I was using the MC Command Center, and I didn't catch that he needed to be aged up, and so I had to adjust it. So he probably lived a couple of days longer than he should have. But, you know, it is what it is. And then, so if we go back here, we have Mary. She was the first to get married, and she married Charles Clemens. So apparently they had a rough start because the firstborn was Antonio. And if you remember, you guys, I was so shocked to find out that it was Angel that was the father. I don't know who the sim is. I've never seen the sim in my life. I don't know. But that's who got her pregnant. So apparently the first few years of their marriage was really, really tough because she went and had herself a baby with somebody else. I'm just saying, you know. So Antonio was born in 1927 as a result of their love affair. Was it a one-night stand? Like, I want to know what's going through her mind at the time. Like, and what's so funny about this, well, not funny, but is she's ended up being like interested in women more than she was men. So, well, it is what it is. But Antonio was born, and then she did, I don't know, find interest in Charles or whatever, but her and Charles ended up having Felicia then in 1937, which is 10 years later. So that would actually be 22 sim days. 22 sim days. It's like a whole season, like 4 seasons. But anyways, so there's quite a big age difference in these two. So I don't remember Charles and Mary fighting that much. I do, however, remember Margaret and William fighting a lot. But after Mary got married to Charles, Emma got married to Joseph Steinfield. Which is it, Jen? Wow. I have them 2 different names. It's Stanfield. I don't know why I have Steinfield here. Anyways, excuse my typos. So Emma got married to Joseph. Now, they never had any kids, and she died at the age of 50, and he was 58. He should not have lived this long. He should have probably been more like 48 or 49. So I didn't catch it, and then, so he ended up living a lot longer. but they never had any kids. And then William and Margaret married, and she is younger than him. And then because of the whole baby and not aging with that, she ended up living quite a bit longer. I thought she lived longer, but he died at 49. Well, she did. He died in 1947, and then she died in 1953. So she lived for another 6-7 years. And yeah, they ended up, their firstborn was Billy. And since William was the heir, obviously Billy was going to be the heir of this. So that is how we came up with Billy. Now, he went and died. He went and got himself killed in the Korean War. If you remember, in 1950, we switched the decades, and he went off to war and died, which was a very, very sad time. But before he died, we did manage to get him married to Susan Banks, and they ended up getting pregnant and having Catherine, who was born in 1952, which was about 3 or 4 some days after Billy died. So yeah, she never got to know her dad. But after Billy, William and Margaret had Maria, and then sadly, they didn't have any more children after that. I wanted them to have children, but that just didn't happen because William became an elder, and I still don't know, can elders have babies? Like, can they still get Sims pregnant? It never worked out, so they never had any more children, and she was born in 35, so she was born 5 years after Billy. And then, of course, Frank and Jacob never had any children. Now, the reason they never got married, never had children, is solely because of me. I have to tell you guys, before I even did this challenge, when I would play The Sims, I would just make one family and leave it at that. You know, they'd have babies, they'd grow up, they'd get married, I'd move them out, and then I'd forget about them. I wouldn't do anything with them, which is sad. This is the first time through this challenge, and you guys have really gotten me to play all of the family. Now, I really wish that I would have started at the beginning and played all of these. Like, there's so much I could have done with Emma and Joseph. They could have had some children, and these guys could have been married. You know, like maybe one of them wouldn't, like maybe Frank. I never saw Frank as having kids, but like the twins, they all wanted to have babies, and they didn't. I don't know. I think I was just really super busy in life at that time. I was live streaming also on Twitch, and I just didn't have time to create more families and all of that stuff. So we just didn't do anything, sadly, with the family, which is really quite sad. But now that, let's zoom back in here. So now that after Billy died, we did end up marrying, Susan did end up marrying Antonio. There is the family tree. So that is the family tree. Yeah, I do have plans on having, hopefully, Felicia find some love and get married and have kids. We just need more Sims. So let me show you really fast. That was the Amesworth family tree. I did make one for Susan's family because I introduced them into the story in the 1950s. Well, yeah, right when Billy met her, we introduced them very briefly. So let me show you really quick that family. So we had Richard Banks. He was the father. The mother was never in the picture. She died when they were all really little. In fact, Judy, the youngest, was just a baby when she got killed in a car accident. So I haven't even included her. But Richard Banks was the father. He was born in 1904 and he died in 1953 at the age of 49. Now, how I figured this age out, 1904, is that he was almost an elder when I made him. He was an adult, but then I went into MC Command Center and I put him at the later end of adulthood, I believe. Maybe he was an elder when I created him. But anyway, at any rate, that is him. Now him and his wife had 5 kids. They had Walter, was the firstborn, then they had Diane, and then it was Susan. Susan was number 3, and Sandra was number 4, and then Judy. So Walter was born in 1920. They're all still alive, by the way. They're all still here. But he was born in 1920. He was an adult when I made him. So Walter ended up marrying Donna. I created her at the same time, and they had one child already, Edward. But then they did get pregnant during the course of this challenge. They got pregnant with triplets, and then they had a single after that. These are not the correct birth dates, by the way. I literally just copied and pasted. So these actually, we can take out this because they're not. I didn't figure out their birth dates. There. I couldn't be bothered to figure just right now to figure out their birth dates, but it's something I'm gonna have to do. I'm gonna have to go back and watch those videos when they came along. It was in the 50s. I know that these four were in the 50s. This one might have even been in the 60s. But Diane was the second born, and she was a young adult when I made her. Her and Susan were both young adults. But then I went into MC Command Center and I sped her up. She ended up becoming an adult a couple of days after we had been into the challenge, and Billy had died. I think it was after when she aged up. So I put her birthday at 1925 and Susan at 1930 because she was a young adult in 1950. So again, I did the same thing that I did with John and Anna, and it just went back 20 years. And this could be wrong. This isn't an exact thing. I was just kind of wanting to see around where it fell. Now that we're more into the challenge, it will be easier now because I know when they were born and when they will die, and I will mark it down so I can figure out those ages. But Sandra is now an adult, I believe, and Judy is a teenager. So that is their family. And I do have plans. I will probably marry these ones off. I don't know that Diane will ever get married. I just feel like she might not, but definitely Sandra, maybe Sandra will get married, and Judy, and they'll have some kids. Yeah, so that is basically it. So that is basically the family dynamics. I hope it made sense. I hope I answered what you guys were looking for. If not, make sure to let me know in the comments down below what it is that you want to know, because I know I tend to talk in circles. I tend to go back and forth, and things might get a little mixed up at times, or I might sound confusing. Y'all, I'm still very, very new at this. I will get better. I promise I will. But anyways, yeah, so I hope this is what you guys were wanting to see and what you were asking for. I hope I answered any of the questions. And yeah, that is going to be it. So I hope you guys liked this video. If you did, make sure to give it a big thumbs up. If you want to see more videos like this in the future, make sure to comment down below. Also, tell me your thoughts on the whole camera, the whole webcam, the whole cam. Do you want me to add it into gameplay, or should I just leave it as I have? I go back and forth on this in my mind. Sometimes I want to have camera because I do make a lot of goofy, silly faces. And other times I'm like, I don't want to put makeup on. I don't want to do my hair. And I don't want to get in front of the camera without my hair and makeup done. So, maybe I will use the camera at times, or different things, or most certainly like videos like this. I was thinking that maybe if we hit 10,000 subscribers, maybe I would do a Q&A. If that sounds something like you guys want me to do a Q&A, I've never done one before, but I think it might be fun. Could be interesting. Could be scary for me. But if there's something interesting to you, make sure to comment down below on that. And yeah, with that, I thank you guys for watching. And if you haven't yet subscribed, I hope that you will. And also, don't forget to click the little bell to get notified whenever I have a video go up. And I hope you all have a great rest of your day, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.